Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another live stream on growing on Vancouver Island. If you're new here, my name is Lisa, and I've taken up the challenge of growing food inside my house this winter. I was super inspired by another YouTuber, Mike's Chaotic Gardening. I started watching his channel last winter. And I decided to start an indoor food garden inside my home. So today I'm going to show you what's growing in my indoor food garden. And then we are also going to talk a little bit about the WIG 2023 Food Gardening Challenge from Mike's Chaotic Gardening and GT Junior Grows It Alaska. I did not know about this challenge when I started growing food inside my house. So I just started growing food from being super inspired by Mike's Chaotic Gardening. I started in, I'm going to say October, and I am doing a full series on it. And then the challenge came up in December. And it's basically challenging anyone to grow food inside their home. Put some seeds in soil, water, whatever your medium, lecca, or any other medium you can think of, and grow some food inside your house this winter from December until April. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the challenge later. I don't think anyone is watching yet, but I'm just going to start showing you my indoor food gardening setup. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the Winter Indoor Gardening Challenge at the end of the video. In the middle, we'll throw some in. But let's start with a little garden tour. I'm just going to unplug a few things. Well, there we go. My computer just really turned itself off and then it came back. So that's awesome. If you hear background noises, I am joined down below with my supervisor who is into some naughty stuff. So let's start this little indoor food gardening tour. We're going to start off with my entry into the WIG 2023 Food Gardening Challenge from Mike and GT Junior Grows It Alaska. I am trying hydroponics for the first time ever, but you absolutely do not need a hydroponic system or anything to participate in this challenge. But let me show you what's going on in my hydroponics growing system. It is right here. See if the camera is picking it up on my laptop. I don't have a stand or anything for this laptop, so this is what it looks like. In recent weeks, I'm going to say it was probably about a week ago, I planted some wild argula. It's like a green in this system. Let's try not to drop the laptop. And it has sprouted. I don't know what the laptop is capturing because I actually can't see the image while I see the image in my eyes, but I don't see it on the laptop when I'm holding it. So hopefully you can actually see that every one of my little sprouts is sprouted. And I've got this little pop-up in the middle of my laptop now. I don't even know how to get rid of it without ending this stream. Kind of annoying. I pressed a button and it is there. Hello, Marlene and GT Grows in Alaska. GT Junior Grows in Alaska. Hello. I'm so happy you guys are here. So this is actually my entry for the WIG 2023. I'm also going to show later in the stream. This is so annoying, this will pop up on my screen. I'm going to show my indoor food garden that was completely inspired by Mike's Chaotic Gardening, but we're going to do that a little later. I'm going to show you a little bit more of this hydroponics kit first. I don't know if you guys saw my previous update. This is, whoa, in the corner over here, this is a little cucumber seedling that I started in soil before the challenge was happening and it was really, really struggling. And then I transplanted it, broke off the roots, and then I put it in water in my window and it grew new roots. And now it's in the hydroponics system and it is actually taking off. The growth is doing really well in the hydroponic system. Oh, the details. Yes, I'm going to go over them again, but I'll give you a little recap, Marlene. So this is from Mike and GT Grows It Jr. They're doing a gardening challenge on YouTube with the hashtag WIG 2023. And all you do is post an update. You can do it once a month, every week. And you need some vegetable seeds or fruit seeds, something that is edible. And you need to plant it in, you can use soil or water, hydroponics, lecca. If you have another substance that I'm unfamiliar with, or you can think of something, I'm sure that would work. Yeah, that's it, Marlene. WIG 2023. Post it on your channel. Now, Mike, maybe not Mike, sorry, Grows it Alaska. Maybe you can answer this question. I was going to talk about it in my video later. And that is, if somebody is not a content creator, but they still want to participate, I was thinking, I mean, it's your challenge, so it's up to you, but they could still participate and just leave their story in the comment section. And then they could feel like they're part of the challenge if they're not a content creator. Because there could be people out there that don't make videos, but still want to participate in the challenge. So if that is you or somebody you know, that could be a way that they could feel like they're participating is if they leave their little story or update in the comment section on their favorite gardening channels that are in the challenge. So I will give you one more little look at my hydroponic system. Not a lot to see, but I want to show you, see if I can do this at the back. This is something I was going to talk about and am going to talk about later in the week. I actually did sacrifice one of my little sponges and I put a fresh cucumber seed in here because two reasons. I had one more cucumber seed in my indoor food garden, which is not part of the challenge. And unfortunately, it died this last week. It wasn't doing very well in my little soil. So to do that content, that don't do content. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's awesome. Pictures work too. Um, So with this little cucumber seed, I put it into my hydroponic system because I thought if I have one plant of cucumbers, I'm not sure if it will pollinate if I get to that stage with flowers. So I better have a second one. And I thought with the seed I put into the hydroponic system, that could technically count in the challenge with my arugula. I can never pronounce the name of that plant. Salad green, whatever it is, it's spicy green. So, yeah, it has not sprouted. I only did that about a day and a half ago, but I anticipate, whoops, I don't know if you can actually see the seed. It's over here. You probably can't see it, but I anticipate that this will sprout fairly quickly. What I've seen with my early days of hydroponic gardening is that it seems to sprout much faster than soil, and I'm quite excited about that. I'm not sure if it's because of the light, these little greenhouse covers, they do seem to retain moisture, and the little sponges, the baskets, the whole setup seems to grow more rapidly than traditional soil gardening that I'm familiar with. Yes, that is it, Marlene. I have a terrible name with plant names. I butcher them all the time. People do comment in the comment section. I've got some interesting comments about my pronunciation. I try, but I am not good with the plant names. Yeah. So that is my indoor food garden. Now we're gonna, oh, that's my WIG 2023 entry, but now we're going to go into another room. This is like my little computer hydroponics room, and we're going to check out my plant room where I have the indoor food garden going on that was inspired 100% by Mike's Chaotic Gardening. a little bit of inspiration from Clive's Garden Conundrum, but it was primarily Mike's chaotic gardening last winter that gave me this idea for growing food inside my house. So we are in another room now, a little bit of a different lighting system. And I will say, if you've seen my videos before, you know I have a bug problem going on. So don't be shocked if you see the little sticky traps have quite a few bugs in them. It's been fluctuating. Sometimes the bugs are looking like they're getting a lot better, and other times they're definitely not. So I will say the bugs are still here. Don't freak out if you see the bugs. But I'm going to show you the plants I have growing right now in the indoor food garden, how they're doing. These are my green onions. They're at various stages of growth and development. I pretty much harvest them weekly and they're doing fine and nothing is wrong with these. And I planted these, if you haven't really been following along, these were from the roots of grocery store green onions. I absolutely love just going to the vegetable section and finding something you can plant, and you eat the vegetable and you plant the roots. Green onion is one of the best values you can absolutely get from the vegetable section. And I think anybody can do this. You don't have to be a gardener. You could have never gardened in your life. You don't even need soil. I have done this in the kitchen with a glass of water and got a whole new sprout of green onion. Just cut off the stem. When you have your green onion, you want to leave, I'm going to say a half inch to 1 inch of the original piece of onion from the root and plant that. Whether you put it in a glass of water or you put it in soil, it's going to grow. So when I say water, you don't want to have a whole glass of water. You just want a little bit of water in the bottom of, say, a cup, a clear cup, so you can monitor it. If you're using water, you're going to have to change the water probably every few days to keep it clear and growing well and not slimy, but it will grow. It is absolutely something that is pretty simple to grow. And if you love green onion, you can have unlimited green onions. So let's look at something else we've got growing here. I'm going to show you my bell peppers, some of them. Whoops. Here we go. This is evening time right now. I think we're around 7 p.m. and in Pacific Standard Time. And I've got these little grow lights. I haven't really shown them too much on my channel. They're super old. And these are my bell peppers. I come home from work during the day and put them under these grow lights. These are the ones that are doing the best. I started these from bell peppers from the grocery store, the seeds, in some of my first videos in my little gardening journey, and they're doing pretty well. But I have had a lot of plant deaths of all kinds during this little gardening journey. And that is okay. I think that is normal, at least for me, part of indoor food gardening. There's going to be plant deaths, and you have to be prepared for that. It can be discouraging if you're new to gardening or you've never grown anything, if your plants start dying. But if you're growing food, one of the benefits, whether you're starting it from seeds that you took out of a bell pepper yourself or tomato, is that seeds are in abundance. If you take them out of a vegetable, like a typical bell pepper from the grocery store is probably going to have like at least 40 seeds, probably more. They won't all germinate. But if you're eating the vegetable anyways, and then you're planting the seeds, even if you have a lot of losses, it's totally fine. It didn't cost you anything more than the food you were eating. So if money is a money can be hard for everybody, but if money is something that's really tight, don't even worry about it. If you're using something you ate already, then it doesn't matter if the seeds are wasted or if the plant dies. You didn't really lose too much other than maybe the cost of soil if you're using soil. I try to use recycled plant pots whenever I can. I'm not trying to spend much money on this project. Yes, I did spend money on the hydroponic system, but that was my splurge out of everything. And I've always had a lot of seeds. I'm a little bit of a seed hoarder, unfortunately, but you don't have to spend much money at all to participate. I don't know if the Dollar Tree is readily available all over. I know it's in Canada. I know it's in the US. I don't know if other countries have Dollar Trees or similar stores. But here, at least during most of the year, you can buy seeds for 33 cents each per package, which is super, super cheap. And I've used Dollar Tree seeds myself, and a majority of the time, they're good seeds. Like the germination rates are really high. So, although you can get the fancy varieties from other companies, Dollar Tree seeds are typically totally fine. You're going to have good luck with them. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. I think a majority of people can afford 33 cents for a package of seeds if they want to try gardening. So let's take a look at some of my other seedlings. We're going to try to look at the window. I don't know how well this is going to work. These are some of my starter trays. Can you guys see that? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just bring them onto the computer here. I thought about using my phone, but then I was like, it's going to be a better picture on the computer. So I'll use the computer. Yeah, they do. I started using seeds from Dollar Tree when I started my wildflower garden. And the wildflower packages are awesome, both from Dollar Tree and in Canada, we have another dollar store called Dollarama. It's kind of like I want to say a little bit of a fancier version of Dollar Tree, slightly more expensive, but the stuff that you get there is insane. And the seeds, so awesome. So between the two stores, the dollar stores, I got lots of wildflower mixes and they grew so well in my rock garden. So here we have some of my other bell pepper starts. Not many left in this tray actually, but they're doing okay. They're slow growing and probably could use some potting up pretty soon, but there's nothing really wrong with these little seedlings here. This is how I typically start most of my little seeds in the seed trays. These were ones I had from previous seasons. I didn't buy them this season. And this is another little bell pepper plant we've got here, a much smaller one, but doing totally fine. Okay, thanks for coming, GT Grows It Alaska. And I think my supervisor wants to join in. I heard him knocking at the door. Let's see if he's here. Oh, there he is. Come on in. So now we're going to take a little look at my peas. I attempted to grow peas for the first time inside my house. I have fantastic luck growing them in my outdoor food garden, but it is winter and I wanted to see how well I could do in my indoor food garden. So here we go. These are some of the peas I'm growing, and they're doing pretty well. What I find interesting about this pea variety, unfortunately, I can't remember the name. It was from the Bounty Beyond Belief seed haul that I did. The seed package said that it didn't actually need trellising for support, but I find that interesting because if you look at these guys, they've got some pretty good tendrils and they are starting to lean. Now, I don't know how much of that is related to not having enough light because they only really get light from my ring light. I don't know if you can see that, which originally I got for YouTube videos, but I've been using it as a grow light. They don't get light much from the windows in here because they're in the far end of the room. And I guess the overhead light here, that would give a little bit of light, but they don't get a ton of light. So I don't know if they're leaning for light or leaning because they want to climb. So I might have to get some more sticks from outside. I do have a bunch of bamboo left from my bamboo massacre in the summertime. Some stakes I could put in there. We'll see how it goes. They're growing pretty well, but I don't know if they're going to start having problems with leaning if I don't do some better trellising. We'll see. But they claim they don't need trellising at all, so I don't know. Here he is playing with his little soft toy. And let's see what my tomato plants are up to. So this is one of the tomatoes. I didn't actually start this from seed. When I was out in my outdoor food garden at the end of the season, I can't remember if it was beginning October, I found these little seedlings growing right beside the garden, not even in the vegetable garden, but beside it. And I thought they're going to die really soon if I leave them outside. So I might as well bring them in. And they've been growing super slow, but they are alive and doing well. They didn't all survive, but I think I have three left. So that is awesome. Totally free plants and just saved from the great outdoors. They self seeded basically. And here are two more of the little tomatoes. These ones are growing super, super slow, but they are alive, and that is what is important. And I have one more thing to show you. I have, where did I put it? Oh, here it is. I started some new basil. If you started watching my indoor food gardening journey a while ago, you'll remember I rescued those basil plants from the summertime I had outside, brought them in, and I was plagued with bugs. That was probably originally between the soil and those basil plants where the bugs originated, but these are my new basil seedlings. I got to be careful. I watered earlier. I don't know if you can see them. They just started to sprout like today. I planted them. Oh, I can't remember. I talked about in my last food gardening less than a week ago. I want to say like a few days ago. And I did use the heat mat a few times. And I do think it made a huge difference in the sprouting, how quickly they sprouted. So that is super fun and awesome. This is Thai basil. I'm not sure if I said that. I'm actually super, super tired from working 5 days over Christmas and now I'm done. So that is what's going on with my basil. So, my challenge to everyone out there, hello, Faye, welcome, who could be watching this or maybe is going to watch the replay later. If you have a roof over your head, basically you can participate in this challenge. You could be a YouTube creator, you could be not a YouTube creator. If you're new, we're talking about the what do I cook with basil? Well, I eat basil raw, but I also eat basil in things like scrambled eggs. It's actually one of my favorites. I'll eat basil with green onion and scrambled eggs, sometimes with tomato and green onion, or you can use basil in like a pasta or a pizza or a salad, a fresh green salad. How are you? I am well, thank you. How are you doing, Faye? Yeah, I personally love to just eat it raw. When it's not too strong, when the leaves are nice and young and tender, it is delicious. I've only grown Thai basil once. The one I had before was a sweet basil, and it is really good. It's got more of a spicy flair to it, and usually the leaves have more of a purple tone. It's beautiful plant. And if you do grow it to flowering stage, the flowers are really beautiful too. But I'm not planning to do that. I don't want to encourage flowering when it gets bigger. I'm only interested in the leaves. But back to the Indoor Food Gardening Challenge, the WIG 2023. Anyone with a roof over their head can participate. It is meant to be an indoor gardening challenge. And it's hosted by Mike's Chaotic Gardening and GT Junior Grows It Alaska. From December until April, you plant some seeds inside your home that is edible seeds that will grow food. So it could be vegetable, it could be a nut, it could be a fruit, anything that is edible. And you post about it on your YouTube channel. And if you don't have a YouTube channel, you can still participate. You can send photos to Mike's Chaotic Gardening or JT Junior Grows It Alaska, or maybe write your story in the comment section. Talk about what's growing inside your house. We are trying to spread some gardening awareness, get more people growing things. You don't have to ever have gardened in your life to participate. I would love to see people who have never even thought about growing something start growing, whether they put a seed in for this challenge, maybe they don't want to do the challenge, but then I'm challenging anyone out there to try growing those green onions I talked about earlier. If you're new, get some green onion from your grocery store, eat the tops down about 1 inch from the bottom, cut it off. You can grow it in a glass of water if you like, just putting the roots into the water. You will have to change the water though. Or get some soil, put it in a little cup with soil and regrow your onion. You will be shocked at how fast it can regrow. Really, really good value if you love green onions. And I think regardless of your level of income, this is something anyone can participate in. Unless, of course, you don't have a home, then that might be different. But if you have a roof over your head, then I think you can participate in this challenge. And it's important, in my opinion, the part of how I got inspired to try this before the challenge started, other than Mike's Chaotic Gardening, was last winter. Our food prices on Vancouver Island skyrocketed, particularly vegetables. In the vegetable section, I went to the local grocery store, and one head of romaine lettuce was $10, like 9.99 Canadian. And I could not believe that. Like, it seemed like something out of a movie. Like, who is going to spend $10 on one head of romaine lettuce? I love lettuce, I love salads, and I love raw vegetables, but I did not want to spend $10 for lettuce. And that was around the time I started watching Mike's Chaotic Gardening, and I was so inspired. I didn't start it last winter, but I thought, I need to try this. If he can do it, surely other people can do it too. Grow food inside their home. I remember watching his channel, and I was watching his bell pepper growing, or spicy peppers, or both, and I was so shocked at his results. I could not believe that this guy was growing full bell peppers inside his house, like in the middle of winter, which is so awesome. Yes, $10 for one head of lettuce. So, what if you're unfamiliar with the geography of this area around the world where I am, Vancouver Island is off the coast of Vancouver, which is a 2-hour ferry ride or 20-minute airplane or seaplane ride. And our food prices are a little bit higher than Vancouver. So Vancouver, I don't know exactly what the food prices are. I'm assuming fairly expensive, and we are slightly more expensive than Vancouver because of the island factor. So if you live on an island, you can probably relate. Food prices, gas prices, most prices are higher on islands because you have to go across the ocean to bring things here. Gracie, home and gardens. My pepper is having fruit now, and so does my tomatoes. Soon I'm going to have ripe tomatoes. Oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Now, did you start those peppers in your house and the tomatoes, or did you bring them from the outside in? Nothing wrong with that. That's totally fine. I'm not sure that would count for Mike's challenge, but I'm just curious if you actually started them in the house or if you brought them in from your previous vegetable garden. I didn't catch if you did that in your video. So that is why food prices are expensive here on Vancouver Island. I mean, there's a ton of reasons, but that is definitely a contributing factor. When you live on an island, things are typically more expensive than the mainland areas. I throw the seeds in my snake planter. Is your snake planter in the house? I'm assuming it is because most snake plants, at least in my house, grow inside. And I think your climate is colder than my climate. You are in Ontario, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you might have told me before. I'm going to say you're probably a zone 5 or colder. I'm zone 7 to 8. So I think you're colder than I am. 6B. Okay, I knew you were colder than I am. Yeah, so in your snake planter in the house. Well, that is cool. I like that. You're doing really well if you've already got them almost ripe on your plants. That is super impressive. So, do you use grow lights? Is my question, Faye. I don't know if I showed you guys, but I do have a little bit of grow light myself. I have these ones. I have just this one over here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And then I have my ring light, which is not a real grow light, but I'm using it as a grow light. It doesn't have the actual grow light kind of bulbs, but I'm just using it like a grow light. But also, if you're watching and you've sort of seen the little setup I have going in this little bedroom, if you have any suggestions for like a better lighting system or like maybe even a better setup, let me know either in the comments or the chat or somewhere. I'd love any feedback on how I could improve the setup too. I'm just really working with a spare bedroom. I don't have special furniture or anything. This is the furniture that was just bedroom furniture that I'm using. So if you can think of something that might work better, I have thought about getting different grow lights. I'm not getting rid of my grow lights. I'm going to use them, but maybe adding on to the grow lights, it might be really beneficial. I don't really know. If I thought it was a good investment and that it would really help my food garden, I might do that, get some more grow lights, but thank you for stopping by, Marlene. Have a good night. Bye-bye. Oh, you use grow lights. Okay, what kind of grow lights do you use, Faye? Are they kind of like on a stand like these guys, or are they like those little ones you see them on those growing shelves people have? Like there's like usually they're metal shelves, but I guess they could be other shelves, and they kind of like stick to the metal or the wood on the shelving material. I'm sure there's other versions out there. Like I have that little one on my desk that kind of just stands alone, but the pepper is from the seed grocery store bought pepper. Throw in the snake planter and they kind of grow there and repot after. Oh, that is awesome. I find with my snake plants that I don't water them often enough. I try to put lettuce seedlings into the snake planter and they died because they didn't get enough water. But you must water yours a little more often than I do, I'm thinking. Well, I don't have too much more to show you guys. I did plant some beans. I can't remember if I talked about that in my last update. They haven't sprouted, so there really isn't much to see. They are in my indoor food garden. Haven't tried growing beans in the house before, but when they sprout, I'll definitely show them in some of my videos. I was just in the mood to make a video and Vlogmas was over, so I thought, let's try a little live stream. What can I do? I can talk about the winter indoor food gardening challenge, maybe promote it to get more people involved. And that's about it. So thank you for watching. I appreciate everyone who stopped by, whoever's going to watch the replay. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a very abundant 2024. If you've never grown a garden, I challenge you to grow something edible this year. You don't have to consider yourself a gardener. Plant a seed or regrow some grocery store vegetable roots. You can do this with lettuce too, but it usually works better outside from my own experience. And you can also do it with celery in an outdoor kind of environment. Probably can do it indoors, but I personally haven't had good luck indoors. But there's lots of vegetables that are regrowable. So you don't even need a big budget to try growing food inside your house. Yes, Happy New Year. Thank you for stopping by. I just did a little indoor food gardening tour. I don't have a lot left to show. I've shown my green onions which are right beside me. Here, let me give you another little recap. Oh boy. These are my green onions, and my hair is sticking to the little bug trap. Hello, Essie Wolverines, and nice to see you. I just did a little indoor food gardening tour. Maybe I'll show a few of the same items again, just because there are a few newbies in here. I have done these in every week. I do an indoor food gardening update here on my channel. I'm trying to grow food in my house for the first time ever. And I'm also doing the WIG 2023 Indoor Food Gardening Challenge from Mike's Chaotic Gardening and GT Junior Grows It Alaska. And here are some of the plants I'm growing. This is a bell pepper plant from a grocery store bell pepper that I started several weeks ago. I want to say it was 12 weeks ago. It's really slow growing, but it's doing well. Actually, I'll tilt the laptop and give you a different view. I can't see what the laptop showed you, so hopefully you can actually see the plants. I don't really know, but there's a collection of these little bell peppers here. They're doing quite well. And I'll show you my tomatoes again if you're new. You didn't see this a little earlier in the live stream. This is one of my tomato plants. And let's go back to my hydroponics gardening system. For anyone who's new here and may have missed it in my first part of the video, this is what I'm actually using for Mike's Chaotic Gardening and the WIG 2023 challenge. Not sure if supervisor is joining in. This is my hydroponics gardening system. This is my very first time trying hydroponics, and I thought it was fitting that I did it for this challenge because Mike's Chaotic Gardening was really the inspiration for me even trying indoor food gardening. So this is what it looks like. I'm currently growing a vegetable called wild argula. Argulia. I cannot pronounce the name. It is a salad green that is a little bit spicy. And all of my little sponges, have sprouts. I don't know if the camera's going to pick this. Oh, shoot. I just got water on my laptop. Not a good thing. Let's see if I can go a little closer with the laptop. Yeah, it is bright. The system is on right now. So I'm not sure if you can see, but there are little sprouts and all of my little sponges. And that is so exciting. I was delighted when I saw the sprouts come out, and they grow so fast hydroponically. If you've never tried hydroponics, I didn't think I would ever try it. Honestly, I've always been an outdoor gardener or an indoor soil gardener if I was growing like a house plant or something like that. And then I saw Mike's Chaotic Gardening, and that changed my ways of thinking about gardening, and I had to try it. Hydroponics are so cool. Like, I just can't even, I can't. It is so crazy cool, hydroponic gardening. So if you missed one of my recent indoor food gardening videos, I will show you. This doesn't count for the challenge, but this is something I'm doing on my own. I planted a little cucumber seedling. I don't know if you can see it in the corner here. I keep getting pop-ups on my computer. This right here, I'm trying not to drop the laptop. Right here, I hope that you can see. Can you see? Yes. That is a cucumber seedling. I started it in soil. It did really poorly, but it was alive. Decided it needed transplanting. Pulled it out, broke all the roots off, put it in water in my window. For a few days, it started growing new roots. And then I thought, okay, so how about we try it in the hydroponics gardening system? And it's been in there, oh gosh, I lose track of the time so easily. I'm going to say a week, maybe less than a week. And it is thriving. It took a little bit of time to get going, but now that it is going. It is actually starting to grow so much better than soil, and that makes me so excited. I bought my hydroponic system just before Black Friday. It was actually a Black Friday sale on Amazon. Yes, if you can get your husband to get you one for a New Year's gift, that would be awesome. Super awesome, Faye, or anyone else who is watching. And this hydroponic system has me so excited. I'm almost tempted to get rid of my soil, but I don't want to spend a lot of money. But if I had unlimited budget, I would actually probably start over in my indoor food garden and just do hydroponics. It is so cool, so effective that I can see so far. And I love the vibe. I don't know if you can hear in my camera, like in the laptop camera, but it actually has a little bit of a low humming sound. I'm gonna be quiet for 1 minute and see if you can hear it. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I love white noise, and it's like the perfect white noise kind of sound. And I'm very, very particular about white noise, that kind of stuff. But that particular noise, it feels like it's so soothing to me. I absolutely love it. How much did I pay for it? That is a good question. My memory isn't great, but if I'm going to estimate, oh gosh, I want to say it was around between 50 and $70. Now, I don't remember for sure. I know it was originally over 100. It's 100 and something, but then it was a Black Friday sale, so it was cheaper. But that would make me go to sleep. Yes, it is so soothing and relaxing. I don't actually have it in my bedroom, although that being said, if this works out really well, and it seems to, I wouldn't be opposed to putting one in my bedroom actually, like not this one, but maybe a different one in the future. I actually had a little pump. Yes, it is a little pump. It circulates the water, and I think that's maybe what makes hydroponics so effective. I don't know. I'm still learning. I have so much to learn. But I've had trouble with insomnia or had and have for about 16 years. It's gotten a lot better over the last year or so. I've found some super effective YouTube videos to help me with my sleeping. But prior to that, I did so many night shifts in my real life job. Hi, Kim. Nice to see you. Yes, I have thought about that actually, Yoda. I have definitely thought about if my seedlings, because I have several, 2 to 3 seeds per pod, and I know you should only have one. But I did that on purpose because I know that when I first tried this, I had lettuce and all pretty much nothing germinated. They were bad seeds. Not all seeds will germinate. So I purposely put multiple seeds, just trying to get germination from them. And so far, that has really worked well for my indoor gardening. But I am thinning them out. As I see too many seeds sprout, I am starting to pluck the extras. But if I let them get a little bit bigger, and then I could transplant them either into soil or even another hydroponics system. And happy indoor gardening. You too, Kim. Thank you. I actually saw in one of Mike's recent videos, this is Mike's Chaotic Gardening. I don't remember his latest video. It's one of the recent ones I watched. And he inspired me yet again, and I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely on my radar. He basically was using reusable recycled containers. So he had a pill bottle from like a medication or a supplement. And he also had a glass jar that I think was from salsa. And he had turned them into hydroponics, like plant gardening systems. And I was so fascinated by that. I am quite likely going to do that very soon. I think I needed a couple parts to doing that. I have to watch his video one more time because I can't remember all the specifics of it, but it seemed even simpler than the hydroponics system and you didn't need to buy it. Like well, I might need to buy a couple little accessories, but nothing expensive, like super cheap. And he was growing food in there and I was like, "Oh gosh, this is so cool." I like this YouTuber, if you have not seen Mike's Chaotic Gardening, I highly recommend you check him out. He is so inspirational for growing food. Every time I watch his videos, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how did I never know about this before?" You need to use clear solo cups to keep an eye on your roots. What do you know what I mean? Yes, I do know what you mean. That is an awesome idea. Well, pill bottles do come in different textures, colors, that kind of thing. So I understand how that would work. But a salsa container, usually those are glass and usually you can see through them. So it was working fine, but I could outgrow Mike with my hands tied behind my back. Oh, well, awesome. I will check out your channel if you're a gardening channel. Have you seen his videos? He does some pretty impressive stuff with the hydroponics. Clear cups are better, trust me. I'm sure they are. Yes, I'm sure you have to be able to see the roots to do some good gardening practices. Yes, I did buy this on sale. You're not a gardening channel. Oh, that's okay. You don't have to be a gardening channel to grow food in your house. If you have a roof over your head, you can post about anything. You're a rookie. Well, I'm a rookie too to indoor food gardening. I have never done this in my life. When it comes to gardening, that is okay. Everyone starts somewhere. And you don't even have to call yourself a gardener. Just put in some seeds or grow some roots if you're doing the green onion. Poke a hole in the bottom for drainage. Absolutely, you do need drainage. I I am not completely new to trying to grow seeds in the house. Years ago, I did well, not even years ago, a few years ago, I grew basil in my house and also tomatoes. And I did use some containers without drainage, and believe it or not, it worked well. However, this time when I tried that in my indoor food garden, really bad mistake. For whatever reason, this year it did not go well for me. I have drainage in all my containers now. I know that is the most important thing is to make sure you have drainage and don't use cover pots. Don't care about what it looks like. Just go for growth. It's not about aesthetics. I'm learning though it's harder than it looks. It 100% is harder than it looks. Like I've been gardening for 10 years outside my garden, but this is like really the first year that I've tried to grow it inside my house, and it is so difficult. Like, I consider this kind of similar to when I started doing houseplants in my house. I never did houseplants until maybe 5, 6 years ago-ish, 4 years ago. I don't know anymore. And I struggled. I probably killed about 40 houseplants, and what's left is what's left. I haven't bought any houseplants in a long time, but I learned which ones I can handle and which ones I cannot handle. You're a farmer. Well, that is super cool. You're learning, though, it takes root rot. Yes, that is a thing if you have too much moisture. So, what do you farm, Yoda? Do you grow a specific vegetable or a fruit or plant? And if you don't mind asking, I'm just wondering what region you're from. We've got people from all around the world that come in these. You grow pot. Do you mean like marijuana type pots, or are we talking about something else? Just want to be on the same page so we know what we're talking about. Cannabis. Oh, okay. Are you Canadian? Just out of curiosity. I know it's legal. Oh, you are Canadian. Okay. Do you grow vegetables as well, or are you primarily a cannabis farmer? No. So you grow mostly cannabis. Well, that is cool. I personally have not tried growing cannabis before. I'm not really a consumer or user or seller of cannabis products, but okay, that is an awesome question, SC Wolverines. How warm is it? So this is a pretty large house, and it is controlled by baseboard heating, which I'm only telling you that because I think it's relevant to the discussion. So each room has a thermostat. I know all houses are a little different. Some people have forced air. I do not have forced air in this house. And so the room I have the most of the plants is set just under 30 degrees. I started it much cooler, like I started around 15 degrees. And my plants were growing so slow, I realized I needed to bump up the heat. So I put it closer to 30 degrees, and things are really growing faster now that it's warmer. You're from Oklahoma. I grow other things for fun. Oh, that is cool. I don't know a lot about the US in terms of legalization. I've heard some states it's legalized, some it is not. I don't know how that all works. Canada, I believe the whole country is legal for like growing and consuming marijuana, if I'm not mistaken, and possessing like a small amount or something like that. That's interesting. Thank you. You're welcome. 65 is optimal. 65. Now, I don't know the Fahrenheit Celsius conversion off the top of my head. I'm gonna guess that is probably 21 degrees Fahrenheit. Total guess. Do not know. 65 is optimal. It is legal. It is medicinal. Yes, I work in healthcare and I have given patients medical marijuana long before it was legal as other product. And I do know for certain medical conditions, it definitely does make a huge difference. What I've seen personally in terms of how marijuana is effective for medical conditions, I work in nursing. If you're wondering what profession I work in, I've seen it effective for seizure control, definitely effective for seizure control, as well as pain management. Chronic pain can be a horrible condition to have, and medical marijuana can make a world of difference for people and even other types of marijuana. Now that it's legal in Canada, when I started nursing many years ago, we could only give medical marijuana to patients, and now that it is legal, if the patient brings it in, we can help administer medical marijuana or marijuana in other forms, like whether that's they're having their edibles or different things. We are allowed to do that now, which is cool because that is something that really helps a lot of people. Oh, thank you. I've been a nurse for many, many years. So 30 degrees is 86 in Fahrenheit, so that's warm. It's a little toasty. Yes, it is toasty. It's almost too warm for me, but I know the plants are appreciating it, so that's why I keep it that temperature. I would actually probably prefer it around 21 myself Celsius, but the plants are growing better when it's warmer, so I'm doing it for them. I want this to work out if I can make it work out, and if it needs a warmer temperature, I will give it a little bit of a warmer temperature. You're a nurse too. That is cool. What kind of nursing do you do? They will stretch more with a higher temperature. Yes, I think that is true for sure. It has made a difference. My biggest challenge, aside from like the bugs is a whole issue in itself. I'm working on it. I've tried hydrogen peroxide sprays, sticky traps. It does help, but it is a work in progress. I've tried changing the soils different times. I've tried some of my glass. It's not even glass. It's some kind of a fancy, pretty ground cover for fairy gardens. I've tried that on top of my soil. I've tried sand. I've tried mixing sand in. I tried diatomaceous earth. It was a suggestion. Don't try that in your indoor food garden. It's not a good idea. Don't advise anybody to try diatomaceous earth in your house. There is quite an odor that comes from diatomaceous earth. Not a good idea. Highly not recommended. It is okay if you're using that outside, but do not put that in your house. I learned the hard way. Rewatch the earlier part. Welcome, Mike. I have talked about you a lot in this live stream. I don't think I've ever talked about a YouTuber so much in one live stream. Get a 3-in-1 antifungal. Can you please elaborate on that, Yoda? I don't know exactly what you're talking about. Like 3-in-1 antifungal. Are we talking about a shampoo or is there a specific plant spray or something for the bugs that is a 3-in-1 antifungal? I haven't heard of this before. I don't know if this is something more common in the US than in Canada. Can I buy this on Amazon? Will it show up on Amazon? I have so many questions. It is on Amazon, or is that not? I don't know if my comments are in tune with the chat. It's organic. Cool. I like that. And it is on Amazon. Well, I will search for it. The one thing that I don't know if everybody knows, but I've definitely just det- I have discovered it myself is that Amazon.ca, Amazon.ca is Canadian and Amazon.com is American, and there are significant differences in the two websites. What I mean is the inventory available on Amazon.com is definitely not the same as what is available on Amazon.ca. I'm a supervisor right now at a rehab place. We deal with a lot of people in car accidents and recovering from hip replacements or surgeries. Oh my gosh, that is so ironic. Interesting. I actually work in a rehab department actually at my hospital. That is so interesting. I'm not making that up. I've worked there for 16 years. I actually did my preceptorship on rehab. I've been a rehab nurse my whole career and I do love rehab nursing. Our rehab sounds different than yours. I work primarily with stroke patients, amputees, well, pretty much anything, but our primary population are stroke patients and amputees. We do get people who have had major traumas who need rehab. We get people of all ages. My youngest patient over the years was 17, and my oldest was 101. So we get them throughout the lifespan. Yeah, definitely car accidents. I had a skydiving accident once that was very interesting. All kinds of accidents that people get themselves into. Yeah, it's a really interesting place. What I love about rehab medicine is I know we're off topic, but let's just have a little off topic tangent is you see people not at their worst, but when they're really not doing very well. They've been through so much, they've had a terrible life change, and when we discharge them, now we don't have a success story every time, but so often they are doing so much better. Maybe they had a stroke, they can't talk anymore, they lost control of their bowels and bladder, they can't get out of bed on their own. And sometimes when we discharge them, they're walking again, they can talk again, they can go to the bathroom appropriately. It is so rewarding. I have worked in other parts of nursing here and there over the years casually, and it is not as rewarding as rehab. Rehab is very rewarding to work in. Meaningful work. It's sad to me. Yes, yes. It is super rewarding. I mean, there's lots of reasons I'm not as excited about it as I used to be, but it's not because of the job. Like it's not because of rehab medicine. It's the politics in my hospital since the pandemic and since other things, things have really, really fallen apart with the nursing shortages and all that stuff. And it's become less a favorable job as it used to be. But I'm still passionate for it. It's just the other parts of it that make sometimes going to work not as favorable as it used to be. I love the patients. I love being a bedside nurse. And I've done it for most of my life. Like literally, I was in my early 20s when I started. I'm a lot older now. I'm not saying how old I am, but I've done it for a lot of years. Not excited. Not excited about nursing? Not sure. Gardening? Not sure. Yes, I like the patients, but you can never have enough help. Yes. Yeah. Well, I don't know how it is in your area, but we are so short-staffed, like, the shortage is significant, and my department is good, but one of the unfortunate things, this is such a tangent, if you're not interested, goodbye, have a good night. Um, I'll see you soon, but, one of the things that happens to us in my hospital is we get pulled to different departments. So you may have never worked on a surgical floor and they're like, okay, it's your turn to go to the surgical floor today because we're 10 nurses short or whatever. And you've never worked there and you have to go and work there as a full assignment. And none of us want to do that. We don't think it's safe for patients or ourselves. And we have to. We don't have a choice. Oh, yes. Work politics, not fun. I don't usually talk about politics in general, and I don't even talk about nursing that much really on this channel, but it is part of my life and it is a live stream and it just came up in the discussion. So that's why I went on the little tangent. But yeah, short staffed. My grandma was a Métis from North Dakota. Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to mention it to you, that's all. We can switch back. No, no, I don't mind talking about it. I just hope that I'm not losing the interest of some of the other viewers if they're here for the gardening content and they're like, "What the heck is going on? Why is she talking about nursing?" Like, that's not really gardening related. You are a person and people garden. That is true. That being said, I will talk a little bit about how my rehab nursing actually does relate to gardening since we're on the topic. My department, my hospital was built really long time ago, 1960s. It's an old building. That being said, we have the nicest department. Like it's old but functional. And we have access to a patio garden. One of the only places in the hospital we have a patio garden. And this was the first year they redid it with containers and we planted a food garden, which was super exciting and some of my fellow coworkers who have never gardened, they don't even think about growing food. Like they're like the furthest people from ever gardening or growing food. They were out there, they were watering the plants, they were getting into it, they were picking we had tomatoes and bell peppers growing, they were picking the produce. Everyone was getting super excited. The patients were going out and tending to the garden. It was such a like community workplace. It was so much fun outside in the garden in the summertime in our department. We had such a great time and so good for the patients. We're getting fresh air, we're getting fresh food, and such a great rehab experience. People need fresh air, they need to grow. Well, you don't need to grow food, but it is such an enriching thing to do. That's so cool. The patients probably like it. Yes. Actually, I talked a little bit when I did one of my shopping videos this summer. I went to Lowe's and I bought a bunch of moms. I think that was the end of summer. It was a flower garden and a food garden. We had food containers and flower containers. So I snuck them into the indoor food garden. I didn't actually pay for most of the plants there. I just snuck a few things in and I also snuck pea seeds in. They don't know that. I just did that, like, a few days ago. I planted pea seeds in the outdoor food garden at work. Nobody knows. I literally snuck them into the soil. I've been slowly, like, cleaning up the food garden because nobody else has really been taking care of it when I have a spare moment. I don't have a lot of spare moments, but when I do, I sneak out for 5 minutes and do some cleaning. So I brought my seeds to work, the same ones I showed you. If you're new, let's go back to the garden for a minute. This was my sneaky garden project, and some of my coworkers might be watching right now. I don't know. I have like maybe 3 to 4 coworkers out of everyone who once in a while they'll watch a video, and I only know because they make some random comment at work. I haven't told that many people I do YouTube, but most of them know. So, anyways, I planted these peas, the exact same variety that I have in my indoor food garden, I brought them to work. And that was because those particular varieties on the package, that was Bounty Beyond Belief, it said you didn't need a trellis for support. So we don't have trellises in my work food garden. We have a couple tomato cages, which I guess in theory would work if the peas don't grow too tall. But I figured if this variety truly doesn't need a trellis, and if they do grow, I'm surprising my entire department with peas. They have no idea that they are planted in the food garden. So I thought it would be such a fun surprise in the spring, assuming they germinate. They probably will when it gets warmer. And people are gonna be like, "What the heck? How did these peas end up in this garden?" I think they'll suspect that it could be me, but I'm not the only culprit. One of my coworkers, I don't know if she's watching, I'm not gonna say her name. She is she's a little gardener herself. She has a mini acreage and she grows food. So the 2 of us, we really took care of that food garden this summer and the flower garden. It was so funny. We have a little assignment board, and at one point, our plants weren't doing super well. And one of my other coworkers wrote on the board, "Please fertilize the plants." Big writing, bold, colorful text. And I was like, okay. So it sat there for a while, like this message, "Please fertilize the plants." Because we don't really have a lot of supplies. They don't give us really funding for buying stuff. So it's kind of up to us if we want to keep it looking good. So my coworker, the one who has the acreage, who may or may not watch this live stream, she brought in her fertilizer. She and I were on the same nursing team, so our shifts are like back to back. We never really work together that often. So she brought in a fertilizer herself. She used some kind of miracle grow. And she didn't tell me or anyone else, well, I think some of my other coworkers knew, but I didn't know that she was fertilizing the plants. So then I come on my shift and I brought in my organic seaweed fertilizer. And I'm out there. I've got my little watering can from home. I've diluted it, I've mixed it up, and I'm out there fertilizing the plants. And then later in the shift, one of my other coworkers comes up and she's like, "Guess what? The person who I'm not gonna say her name, she fertilized the plants too." And I was like, "Whoa, that is cool." And then within a week, those plants were like so incredible. Like the planters just took off. I was like, "Holy crap." So between the organic fertilizer and the Miracle Grow, they were on fire. And you literally before we fertilized them, you would have thought, okay, maybe we should pull them out now. They're not doing very well, but they were doing so well. They were pretty much on steroids, yes. So maybe it was beneficial that we didn't communicate that we each fertilized the plants. "You're the most upbeat nurse I've ever seen. In Saskatchewan, they're so overworked and always grumpy." Well, that is an interesting comment. And the reality is, when I'm at work, I am a little bit different in my personality. I was telling one of my coworkers, we had this conversation about 'cause she started watching my YouTube videos and she was like, "You are so different online versus in person." And I said, I have basically 3 versions of me. I have my YouTube version, I have my home version, and I have my work version. And there's a huge there's a big overlap between what I do on YouTube, what I do at home, and what I do at work. At work, I'm more serious and more professional in this sense. At home, I'm more like YouTube, but not quite as upbeat. And then at work, yeah, homework, YouTube, I'm just more upbeat, I guess. Probably a good mix between the 2 fertilizers, yes. And I think everybody is like that. I think the way you are at work is not necessarily how you are at home, or how you are with a friend is not necessarily how you are in a different part of your life. I think everybody is a little bit different in different situations. So she was surprised, I think, at how much energy I put into YouTube. But the reason is because I love YouTube. I love watching YouTube. I love live streams. I love YouTube videos. And then I love gardening. I am so passionate about gardening and growing and food and seeds. And that's why I am so energetic when it comes to YouTube, because I feel like I'm sharing that part of myself that is like the most electrified, I guess you could say, between before I made YouTube videos, when I got so excited about gardening, this is gonna be kind of like, I don't know how to, I'm just gonna tell you. We're getting pretty personal in this live stream. The person that I shared that with was my mom. And my mom, she gardens, but she's not like me when it comes to gardening. Like, she doesn't share the passion that I have for gardening. So, but my parents are both gardeners. My dad is much more of a gardener than I am. And my mom gardens, but not to the degree that I garden or my dad gardens. She's into the ornamentals. My dad is food. I do everything. My brother does very little. But, anyways, so I would phone her every time I had an exciting development in my garden. Like, oh my God, I just found this in my garden. You will not believe this. Like, and she tried to be excited for me, but I know that she wasn't really as excited as I was. I could kind of tell. And I always did that though, because I started gardening in my 20s, well, earlier, but mostly in my 20s, and now I'm in my 30s. The reality is, nobody in my life shared my passion for gardening before YouTube. I was so passionate about it. I got so excited about it. People my age in my life or close to my age just don't care. A lot of them don't care about gardening, or they're not as excited about gardening. Now is a little different. I'm getting a little bit older. I'm finding more gardening people in real life that share my passion. But now I'm finding that YouTube is the place to share my gardening passion. Now let me get back to the comments. I think I've missed a lot. You guys burned them up. What did we burn? Oh, we're talking about those plants that were on fire. Yes. Nitrogen jacked. I would say so. Absolutely. Probably a good mix between the two fertilizers. Probably. It was probably a good balance. Crazy garden mama. Well, that is super awesome. I hope you have a very good night, Wolverines. She can't relate. It happens to me too. Oh, yes, when you're talking to someone who doesn't like or isn't interested in gardening, I absolutely know what that is like. I've talked to many people about that, and like you can tell if they're not interested because you get so excited, you start telling them this story about a plant or a sprout or a tree or something, and they're kind of following it, and then all of a sudden they change the topic, or they bring something else up, or they kind of like slowly start to like their responses, you can just tell they're starting to tune out a little bit. I have seen that. I have experienced that many, many times. I mean, I understand not everyone is going to be passionate about plants, seeds, growing trees, nature, all that stuff. But personally, I'm passionate about it. And when I find other people who are passionate about it, it is really fun to share that. And I nerd out. They're like, "What the?" Yes, absolutely. I nerd out too, very much. Like, if I was to classify myself, like, as a particular stereotype, I would probably say I'm a garden nerd and a medical nerd. Like, when I started nursing, I was a hardcore, like, book nurse. I'm not a book nurse anymore, but I used to be years ago, and I would say the same about gardening, kind of, but in a different way. Like, I am definitely a garden nerd or a garden geek or a garden nerd and a geek. I don't really know. We grow all the things. Yes, we do. What's my favorite thing to grow? Oh gosh, I don't know if I can pick a favorite. So if I'm talking about flowers, my favorite flower by far, oh my gosh, I don't know if you can see that. I have something on my laptop. I'm trying to like brush it off. I don't know what it is. My favorite flower are roses. I absolutely love roses. I know they can be tricky to grow for some people or a little bit picky flowers, but I really, really adore roses. I have quite a few in my yard that I've planted over the years. And so those are my favorite flowers, but for food, that's a tricky one because I like lots of foods and I like growing foods. I love Realistically, I eat a lot of lettuce. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite though. I can grow lettuce, and outside I don't have too many issues with growing lettuce, and I eat lots of salads. So lettuce would be a contender. I love cucumbers, and I'm relatively okay to good with growing cucumbers. But I also love pumpkins and watermelons, and I struggle with growing pumpkins and watermelons. I did grow 3 pumpkins successfully this year, which is awesome. My watermelon growing was a disaster. The watermelons did not ripen. I have grown them 3 times in 10 years where I could eat the watermelon. So 30% success rate is not very good, but it's hard to grow them in the Pacific Northwest. It's not really the right climate. You can do it, but it's a challenge. Yes. My celosia is up. Did I say that right? Celosia is up pretty already. Red stems. Now I've heard of celosia. I can't remember what it looks like, honestly. I think it's a pretty flower, but it's a challenge. Watermelon is a challenge. I think if you live in a much warmer zone, like probably California, Florida, it's probably a lot easier to grow, but the colder climates growing watermelon is definitely difficult here. I also like cantaloupe. Now, I haven't talked that much about cantaloupe. I think I might have grown a couple plants this year, this last season, but they died and didn't do anything. And in all of my years gardening outside, where I tend to be much better at gardening, I think I've successfully grown cantaloupe once. So 1 out of 10 years, I don't try every year, so it's maybe not the same average. I don't know what the average is, but I don't have good luck with cantaloupe, which is weird because a lot of people in the Pacific Northwest have less trouble with growing cantaloupe than watermelons. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I really don't. I don't know if it's the soil, the growing conditions. I'm just not a cantaloupe. Like I can eat it. I love cantaloupe, but I just don't have the knack for growing it. But I did get more seeds. I'm going to try again this year. So we will see what happens. The flowers I'm growing for the wife for her office. Yes, I do remember that video. My first time growing flowers inside. I've started tons inside to move outside. Well, that is super cool. I'm not going to do flowers in the house. I used to have a significant allergy to most flowers, including the ones in my garden. I've sort of outgrown it, I want to say, in the last year and a half or so. It was so bad that I took medication for my allergies for years, every single day, but I have gotten a lot better recently. And I basically can't have the pollens in the house from flowers. At least I couldn't in previous years. Maybe I can now. Spinach is your rival. Bok choy is maybe my rival. I'm not sure. I have a terrible time growing bok choy outside. It will like I plant it and it grows tiny and then it bolts. That's the typical pattern if I do that in the spring. So this fall I planted bok choy outside in the outdoor garden and it grew tiny because I planted it in I would say early October-ish or maybe late September, something like that. Excuse me. And then our weather got really cold. We had an early, like, frost, a few early frosts, very light frost. They didn't die. They're cold hardy, but they stopped growing and they're just out there. I'm hoping they're going to start regrowing in spring, but the weather's been so funky. It's been so warm now in the winter. Like our temperatures are about 10 degrees during the day, which is pretty warm for December. So I don't know what January is going to do, but it doesn't look like we're going to get snow this year, which is, I mean, it's a little bit atypical for this area. We usually get a little bit of snow, but it could still cool off, I guess. And I might still have the bok choy seedlings by springtime. So that would be cool if they started growing again. So if you're in the chat, I don't know, I know some of the people here. If you've grown bok choy and I know that Mike grows it hydroponically, and I might try that. I might put it in the hydroponics kit. I haven't fully decided yet. Mike, I have been so inspired by your videos. I don't think it was the last one. One of the last couple of videos, I talked about this early in the live stream. I'm going to be trying that the hydroponics. I don't remember what you called it, but basically you had the pill bottle and you had the salsa bottle. And then I can't remember if you put in like a little basket with a sponge because I know you had some vegetables growing in those little containers. Gonna rewatch the video because I kind of want to duplicate it myself. I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. Yes, the crack crackety method. I want to try that because I kind of want to try more hydroponics now that I've started it, but I don't really want to buy another kit at this stage. Like I want to get really good use out of the kit that I have. But when I saw that video, I was like, "Oh yes, I need to try this." I can't remember what supplies I need that I have to rewatch it because I watched it once, but I need to like remember all the details and then I can get it set up. Yes, you just drop a basket and sponge in any good food safe container. And I'm assuming you just put the same nutrients and water ratios as you would into the maybe not into the hydroponics tank because you might have to change the ratio of nutrients to water, I'm thinking, because the tank is I can't remember how many liters my tank is, but it's oh gosh, I'm gonna say it's like 4, no, maybe it's 8 liters. I can't remember how many liters it is. Just drop a basket and sponge in any I've drilled holes in the lids of Tupperware. I've subscribed to Mike. That is awesome. If you're in the chat and you're interested in growing food in the house or participating in the WIG 2023 challenge from Mike and JT Grows It Jr., who was here earlier in the chat, subscribe to their channels. They are a wealth of information. I have a ton of gardening subscriptions, but in terms of what I've learned from YouTube channels in the last couple of years, I've learned more from particularly Mike's Chaotic Gardening than most other gardening channels out there. It is a wealth of information. Highly, highly, highly recommend Mike's Chaotic Gardening for indoor gardening. He does outdoor gardening. Oh, my voice is doing funny things. He does outdoor gardening too. Check him out, definitely. Even if you've never gardened before, if you've got like a tiny inkling, like, maybe that sounds interesting. Maybe I should look into this a little more. Check him out. Some of those videos will open your eyes. Like some of the, like I've been gardening for a long time, and when I watched some of those videos from last winter, my eyes were like this. I was like, holy crap, that is amazing. Either anything food grade. I've seen people grow an 8-foot tall pepper plant in a rubber what? In a Rubbermaid trash can? That is crazy. 8 feet tall. That is huge. I didn't know you could grow a pepper plant 8 feet tall. That is insane. I thought maybe they maxed out at like 5 feet or 4 feet. That is crazy. I think realistically, in all my years of gardening in real life, I've only seen them grow like maybe 3.5 to 4 max. Like that is huge. I wonder what kind of fertilizer or soil they're using. Oh no, you're talking about hydroponics, right? Yes, hydroponics. That is crazy. So when okay, let's back up a little bit. Now, Mike, I know I have not seen all your videos. I've only seen a selection from last winter and a selection from this winter. Not winter, this year, I guess. So you might have talked about this before and I might just need to be educated. I'm not really sure about this, but maybe you can answer the question or maybe somebody else in the chat can answer this. So when you're talking hydroponics and you're talking these huge pepper plants or other huge, huge plants in these big trash can bins. Are these inside your house or are these outside the house? Because I'm having trouble picturing this in somebody's house, but maybe if you have really high ceilings or I'm not really sure, like maybe you can definitely do this in a house. Google cracking method will be a whole rabbit hole. The flavor isn't as good as soil, though. That is a fact. Tastes the same to me. I wondered about that. I haven't tried anything yet from the hydroponics kit, but I think it would be super interesting to do a taste testing comparison between hydroponics versus soil taste. Like, say you grow a pepper in hydroponics and a pepper in soil, and which has a better taste? That would be an interesting experiment. The trash can pepper was planted outside. Okay, interesting. It's planted outside. You will see. I will see. I definitely will see. Now, I'm not too particular about taste. In the last this year, actually, this end of this year, I came down with two separate viruses, and I don't even think they were the C. I don't even know what they were. The first one wasn't bad, but it really changed my taste. It was so weird. By the end of it, I had almost no taste, but not totally gone. But when I ate food that was supposed to be spicy, like if I used to say it was like a 10 for spice, it was like a 3. Like it took away my sensation for heat. And even other foods, the flavors were just gone. It was really weird. And it hasn't completely gone back to normal. And that was before my second virus, which I had, which took 6 weeks to get rid of. But I would say my taste is not normal after that virus. But it's been an interesting experiment. So I don't know. I don't think that the taste would bother me because I don't taste the way I used to taste. Inflated versus condensed. I'm growing Georgia candy roaster squash inside right now. Oh, that is cool. I think I might have seen that in a video. I can't remember if I saw that. Was it a cold virus? Kind of. I don't know what it was. Like, I don't think it was a traditional cold because I think with most colds you don't get fevers, but I did have a fever for a while, so I don't know what it was. I didn't bother getting I have the home test, but I didn't want to do the test for the we all know the virus that went around for 3 years. I didn't feel like testing myself this time, so I don't know what it was, but it wasn't a pretty virus. It did lots of things it shouldn't have done. Inflated versus condensed. So, Yoda, are you talking about flavors? Inflated flavors versus condensed flavors? Most of the lettuce and tomatoes in the store are hydroponically grown now. Reason don't taste good is picked green, then stored, only ripened in shipping. Keto Family Farm, hello. I saw a gardening channel live, so I figured I would drop in. Welcome. You're watching a Growing on Vancouver Island. If you're unfamiliar with where that is in the Pacific Northwest. And this is my gardening channel. My name is Lisa. We started out this little live stream with giving you a tour of my indoor food garden. I'm participating in Mike. He's in the chat. Mike's Chaotic Gardening. He's doing a challenge with GT Junior Grows It Alaska, who was here early in the stream. And we're growing food in our homes this winter. So before the challenge started, I started an indoor food gardening. And my inspiration is in the chat right now, the one and only Mike's Chaotic Gardening. I'm so happy he is here. And he inspired this whole garden. I'll give you a little taste of what it is. I do garden updates every week on my indoor food garden. I'll just show you a few items. I've already showed them earlier in this stream, but give you a little taste of what's going on in my indoor food garden. I'm in the plant room. Oh gosh, I've got so much stuff here. So these are my green onions. I grew these from grocery store roots. So I ate the green onions from the vegetable section, and then I planted about the bottom inch, half inch to an inch of what was left, and I harvest about once a week my green onions for different dishes, scrambled eggs, or whatever I'm eating. And they are an awesome investment in if you're not even a gardener, if you just want to grow a little indoor food and you like green onion, get a glass of water. You can do this in water too. If you change your water a few days a week, the onions will regrow. I have done it in water without even adding nutrients, plain tap water. So let's take a quick look at some of the other plants. If you've been here since the beginning, thank you. This might be a rerun for you, but for the newbies, I'll show you a little bit more of my plant growth. This is one of my indoor pepper plants. This was started from a bell pepper seed from the grocery store. It is evening time right now, and I have them under a little grow light in this room. I don't know if you can see that. I'm on my laptop right now, and when I tilt the camera, I can't see what the camera is seeing. So I don't know if you actually see the plants or if you're seeing the table, what you're actually seeing, but hopefully you see some plant life. And I've got some tomato plants growing in my window. And I'll actually show you, because Mike is here, what I'm doing for the WIG 2023 Indoor Food Gardening Challenge. We're going to change rooms for all the newbies. And I'll show you my little hydroponics gardening system. So this is my computer room, and because we talked about temperature earlier, I didn't actually mention this in any of my indoor food gardening videos. We talked about the temperature of the plant room earlier, where I just came from, and this room is different. I'll show you my thermostat. Oh, is that going to work? So this is in degrees Celsius, and so it's actually set just over 15 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure on the conversion to Fahrenheit. So I would say it's 15 degrees cooler than my plant rooms, just for context of temperature, because that does make a difference when you're growing plants. So let's take a look at the indoor food garden for Mike's Chaotic Gardening Challenge, WIG 2023. This is my first hydroponics growing system. I unboxed it a few weeks ago. I can't remember when. It was a Black Friday special on Amazon.ca. I am in Canada if you're new here. And this is what is going on. It doesn't look like there's a lot, but let me tell you, there is exciting stuff happening here. Let's see if I can get a little closer. I'm going to get water on my laptop like I did earlier. So I've just removed one of the, oh shoot, maybe that was a bad idea. Just brush that off. I don't know if you can see, but there is actually growth in every single one of my little sponges. I am growing wild Argulia? Argula? Oh my gosh, I butchered the plant names. I am terrible with the plant names. I don't know if I have the seed package anymore. Let me see. Oh, I do. I still have the seed package. So this is what it is. This is what those little baby sprouts are. They are wild. Not going to say it again, but this is what they are. And they're doing so well. And in case you missed earlier when I was talking about this, the part of the reason I'm so excited about hydroponics is how fast everything is growing. Like from the time I started it, like I had lettuce in here and it was bad seeds. It didn't work out. I took them out after 13 days, no sprouts. That's why I don't use Canadian seed companies most of the time, because I have terrible Canadian seed company germination. So I used one of my American seed companies for the wild Argulia, and within days they sprouted. Now, if I put that in soil, it would have been so much slower, and I'm just so excited to watch these guys grow. Yes, I like all your pronunciation help. I need all the help I can get. So right in the corner, this is my little cucumber plant. And if you missed the story or you haven't been following my indoor food gardening, what happened with this little cucumber plant, can you see that? Yes, you can. Is that I started it in my indoor food garden, the one in soil, and it was in a starter tray for a while. I transplanted it into a little bit of a bigger pot. And let's be honest, it did really poorly. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try to give it a little helping hand, and I'll transplant it into a bigger pot. So I did that and I tried and I broke the roots, like completely broke them. And I was like, oh, shoot. And the seedling was a little leggy too, not going to lie. It wasn't looking its best. And so I thought, well, why don't I try saving it? I got a glass of water, a clear glass of water, and put it in my kitchen window. And I kept checking it. Within days, I had new roots growing. And then I got this idea. I was like, oh my gosh, what if I did this in the hydroponics growing system? If I saved it? So I thought, let's try it because at that time I didn't have any sprouts. And I thought that would be so cool. So, Mike, I know it's not counting in your challenge. I think I mentioned that in one of my recent videos. It doesn't count because I started in soil and it was growing before your challenge started. So I'm not going to count it. I have something else to count, but I think it would be so cool if I get real cucumbers growing in this hydroponics kit. But Mike, take note of this. I do have something that is going to count in your challenge if it works out. I will try to propagate everything I grow. It's fun. That is so cool. So, this is part of the WIG 2023. I planted another cucumber seed into the hydroponics kit. You can't, well, I'll show you. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but this was only, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Can you see that? I don't know. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. It is a cucumber seed that I put into another sponge. I sacrificed one of them. And so that one is going to count if it grows. If it grows and develops, it counts for the indoor food gardening challenge. My other one, technically speaking, does not. So we will see how they go because the first one was started in soil and the second one is started in seed in the hydroponics kit. So I'm super, super excited to see the results between the soil started seed and the water or hydroponics started seed. I'm curious how it's going to go. Hopefully, it is parthogenic. Okay, I don't know what that means. I should maybe know what that means, but I don't. So maybe you can let me know what that means. Does that mean it's self fertile? I don't really know. You try to propagate everything. If it is not, get a cheap watercolor paintbrush. Oh, you mean for pollination. I have a good collection of paintbrushes. That is not a problem at all. I tried that with the strawberry plants before I realized that they were not doing well with the bugs and all that stuff. If you are new, I tried transplanting strawberry plants from my outdoor food garden into my indoor food garden. They were ever bearing. I think I did that in October, I want to say, or maybe November. Can't remember. It was October, I think, or early November. I lose track. But anyways, I ripened strawberries that started growing outside on the plants. I ripened them in the house, but then the bugs really took over the plants and I just had to put them back outside. It didn't work out, but I did try to grow strawberries in the house. Maybe if I had started them from seed in the house, it would have been a different situation, but it just wasn't going very well and I decided to abandon that project, but it was an interesting experiment and I think for self-fertile for breeding. Okay, I think all of indoor food gardening, at least for me, and I've done lots of outdoor food gardening. I'm very new to indoor food gardening. I feel like gardening itself is an experiment. Like I know how a lot of people get discouraged when they start gardening, whether it's inside their house or outside their house. If your plants start dying, that can be discouraging, but if you're growing food, the fabulous thing about food gardening is that seeds are very inexpensive. Like if you grow from the grocery store, like a bell pepper or a tomato or something, you eat the food. You're going to eat the food anyways. You save the seeds, then the seeds are basically free. And each fruit or vegetable, say one bell pepper, you're going to get like, I'm going to say 50 to 100 seeds per vegetable on average, depending on the size of the vegetable, all that stuff. Basically free seeds. So if you plant them, say you get 10 plants from all the seeds you plant, those are free plants. Even if 7 of them die, those are still a lot of good free plants. It doesn't matter if your plants die when you have so many. It's not really costing you money. So if you're growing in soil, your biggest expense literally is going to be the soil, unless you're using it from the outside, which you can, but I personally don't advise it. You will get bugs. You might get bugs from indoor soil because I have. But It's all one of the challenges of growing food inside. I think there's a lot of challenges, but I also think there's a lot of rewards. If you can grow food in your house, master the art of growing food in your house, you're going to save money on your groceries. And let me talk about something I didn't talk about in any of my personal videos or my live streams, but I did go on a guest live stream. I don't know if anyone watched it on Latin A's channel. She's not really a gardening channel, but we met on another channel and we talk and chat sometimes. But we're talking about food sustainability, and I talked about this a little bit earlier about the $10 lettuce last winter in my grocery store that I go to. For one head of romaine was $10, and that is a lot of money to pay for one head of lettuce. And that was around the time I started watching Mike's channel, and I was like, Nobody should pay $10 for a head of lettuce." So the more sustainable you can make yourself, your home, your family, in terms of self sufficiency, being able to grow your own food, the better off you are. Now, I know YouTube doesn't like people talking about the pandemic we just have, so I won't use the real words, but something that happened to me personally during the pandemic on Vancouver Island, and this probably happened in other places, but at least in my city, and this relates back to my job, is that there were food shortages, significant food shortages here. One thing that I found, I tried to follow the rules of the pandemic. They told us not to go for healthcare workers. Don't go grocery shopping unless you are going first thing in the morning or the end of the day, because they were worried that healthcare workers had a higher percentage chance of spreading illness because you're exposed to it so much. So go shopping when there's, like, the least risk, basically, to the public, and I care about the public, I care about people in society, so I try to follow those rules. I went shopping at the end of the day, I went shopping at the beginning of the day, and something I found is that I couldn't buy eggs. I literally went several weeks, and that sounds terrible, that's a first world problem. 100% I agree. But I literally couldn't buy eggs for several weeks at a time, and I eat a lot of eggs, to the point where I was thinking about getting backyard chickens, but realistically, I have a very, very busy lifestyle, and I knew I couldn't look after chickens appropriately, so I didn't get backyard chickens, but I was definitely thinking about getting backyard chickens because I eat eggs every single day. So I literally had to change my diet during the fact that I couldn't buy eggs. Like literally, there were no eggs in the grocery store. They were all gone. I couldn't buy the expensive eggs or cheap eggs. They were literally every carton was gone. So these are some of the reasons that I personally have experienced that make me think indoor food gardening is a really good time. Like it's a good thing to learn how to do. I know eggs are not the same as vegetables, but I think it's the principle of being able to support yourself, whether there is a global problem like we had a virus. It could be a natural disaster. There could be a major earthquake. There could be major fires that really cause food shortages. And that is the reason I think people worldwide should be looking at growing more food in their home. It is difficult. It is really difficult to do. But if you can master the art of growing food in your home, you're going to be able to sustain yourself much better than if you have no idea how to do that. Train the supervisor to raise hens. Oh my god. That is funny on so many levels for so many reasons because supervisor, now I can't film it and for many reasons, but earlier in his life, I haven't really showed my neighborhood much for many different reasons, but this is a newer neighborhood in general in this city. Like not super new. When I moved here over like 10-ish years ago, it was fairly new and now it's evolved, but half of it was not developed. So half of the houses here were not there when I moved here. And they finished it in the last 10 years basically. So one of the houses up our street has backyard chickens, but because of the way it's developed this little subdivision area, it has a private road, not a private driveway, but like a private kind of road. So you're not actually allowed to walk on the road. And the people that had the private chicken or the backyard chickens, where it was all open and you could see the chickens, They're kind of at the back, so I can't go there anymore, but before it was built, like, they're in an older house that backs down to the newer subdivision type of thing. I used to walk supervisor by this backyard chicken area, and he is, he just stares at the chickens, like, he's fascinated by the chickens, and I'm sure he misses that, but I think if I had backyard chickens, all he would do is, like, stare at them all day, like, he'd be out by the coop or the little run and just stare at the chickens. I don't know if he would try to go for them or not. Like, he does try to chase animals and squirrels and rabbits and things like that. But I think if there were chickens, he wouldn't know what to do with himself. He would literally just be like, I gotta check the chickens out all day. I grew bell peppers from store-bought bell peppers in the past season. Eggs are plump, necessary for a healthy diet. Yes, absolutely. Chickens are easy to care for. You just have to set them up with larger feeders and water so you don't have to check on them as often. It's fun to watch the chickens. Yeah, the other reason about chickens, I kind of thought about this when I had the egg shortage was going on, and then I don't know, I'm on the fence. Now, I've never had an animal like I've never lived on a farm and I've never raised animals that are for food. And so this is my own perspective on it. I love animals, but I'm not vegetarian. So I eat chicken. Literally, I do eat chicken. I eat turkey. I eat beef. But I don't know how I would feel about having chickens and then still eating chicken. Like, even if my chickens are for eggs and I eat store-bought chicken, I feel like that would be, for me personally, that would feel weird. Like, because I'm quite certain I would get attached to them like pets because I love animals so much, and I've had quite a few pets over the years, and I always name them, and they're part of the family and the household wherever you happen to be. They're like they join in with everything, and I personally would have a hard time eating the same animal that I know is, like, in my chicken coop or in the I don't know. I know people do that, and I don't know how they do it. Like, everyone has different feelings for animals or no feelings for animals, but I do love animals, and I think that would be a really hard thing to do. Like, if I got chickens for eggs, I think I would become someone who didn't eat poultry anymore. I wouldn't be able to eat chicken or turkey anymore if I got egg-laying hens. I'm not opposed to it in the future, but I also don't know, that I can be a vegetarian. I'd probably still have to eat, like, beef or pork or fish. I don't know that my body can handle not being vegetarian. I have very high protein diet, but many people this year got chickens. Well, I could see why that is, for sure. And technically speaking, I have space for chickens, but I just don't think I have the time. And I know people say they're low maintenance, and that may be true, but I do have a really busy lifestyle, so I don't think I have the time to properly put into the care of more animals. But it is a good idea. It's a great idea. It's kind of weird at first, but after a while, it gets easier. I watched Food Inc., and it gave me better understanding for growing your own meat. Maybe quails. Oh, no. We have quails here in the wild. I don't know if they're around the world in the wild, but they like, on Vancouver Island, they're fairly common in the wild, and I think they're so adorable. I would have a really hard time eating a quail. I've seen quail eggs in the grocery store. I can't even buy a quail egg and eat it. I don't know, I think they're so cute, and I'm like, "I don't wanna eat these cute little creatures." I mean, I know they're eggs, like, it's totally different than it's the same thing as a chicken egg. You're not really eating the chicken, but it's the whole principle of it. Like, I think quails are the cutest little birds, and I just can't. Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I think I'm out of topics to talk about. I think this has been a lovely chat. Thank you all for joining in. And I will have another indoor food gardening update this week sometime. I usually put them out Mondays and Tuesdays, sometimes Sundays, but most of the time it's Monday or Tuesday. And I encourage everyone here. I don't know how many people are actually in the chat that are in the like I can see the number of viewers, but I don't know if everybody is in the chat or if there's a few lurkers out there. But regardless, whether you've gardened or not, I know I have a few viewers on the channel that actually aren't or believe it or not are not interested in gardening. They're there for other reasons, and that is fine. I encourage everyone who has a roof over their head to try planting some food inside your house this winter. If you're interested, participate in the Winter Indoor Food Gardening Challenge. If you're a content creator, hashtag WIG 2023. Grow some food in your house, put some seeds in the ground, make a video about it. You choose how many updates you want to do. There is no limit. Do it every day, once a month, every few weeks, whatever you like. And tag Mike at Mike's Chaotic Gardening and GT Junior Grows It Alaska in the description so they can check out your videos. It is a contest. They're hosting it until April. Yes, grow herbs in your kitchen window. I think you missed it, Mike, but you will see if you watch my indoor video. I showed it earlier in the live stream. I'm trying my basil again. I had basil growing. I tossed it in the compost and I have new seeds started. I think technically I could count them in the challenge. I'm not counting them in the challenge because my challenge is really with hydroponics. So that's what I'm keeping in your gardening challenge, but I am trying basil again. I have Thai basil planted. I think that was before you joined the live stream. Yeah, it would be so awesome for more content creators to participate in the challenge. I watched GT Junior Grows It Alaska. I watched one of his live streams earlier today before I did this one. And he said there was, I think he said 23 participants or maybe 29. I can't remember. It was 3 more than last year or something like that. So give it a try. That would be so cool if you guys could get like say 40 people in your challenge. That would be awesome. I mean, when you look at gardening channels, I have been on a lot of gardening channels. There are thousands of them on YouTube. Literally, no exaggeration. If you've got even 40 or even 100, that would be insane. And I think too, if you're someone who's never considered growing food or never even thought about gardening, you don't have to call yourself a gardener. You don't even have to think that it's gardening, but try planting some seeds and see what you can grow. I highly encourage everyone out there, if you've never planted a seed, put a seed in some soil or even another growing medium. It doesn't have to be soil. You could try hydroponics. You could try lecca. Speaking of lecca, Mike, I am thinking strongly about lecca. And I'm going to mention it here. Before I go, Mike, I have potatoes and garlic in containers inside. Does that count? That is a very good question, actually, Cato Family Farm. I was thinking about that too. I haven't tried potatoes, but I've been thinking about it. But because technically they're a root vegetable, my opinion is they should count, but it's not my challenge, so I'm not making the rules. But I hope he's still here. I don't know if he's here still. I've seen people growing in loofah. Yes, yes, I have too. I've never tried it, but I've been thinking about it. Oh, just seeds. Okay, there you go. I guess the potato doesn't count. That's okay. Yes, definitely try growing some food inside your home this season. And I highly suggest anyone who's enjoyed maybe not so much the random chat, or maybe you did enjoy that, but subscribe to Mike's channel. If you're interested in indoor food gardening, you will not be disappointed. Mike's Chaotic Gardening, I have learned so much in a pretty short period of time. Like, it is pretty crazy. You are very educational, Mike. You have taught me a lot of things about growing food, particularly in the house. And if you're interested in gardening, or even if you've never tried gardening, he is so inspirational what he is doing inside his house with growing food. Out of this world. So inspirational. Go check him out. If you enjoyed my little chit chat, you might want to subscribe to my channel and GT Group. Junior grows in Alaska. I just started watching his channel. I wasn't familiar with it before Mike and him teamed up on this collaboration challenge, and I started watching his videos. He is an awesome channel. Aside from the fact he lives in Alaska, where the temperatures, I think, are very cold, it looks like not a lot of daylight and a lot of snow. His videos are epic. Like the editing, I am so inspired by his editing of videos. I need to learn a few of those tricks because he's got some pretty cool editing techniques that I think I could learn from. But if you're a content creator and you're into gardening, I think he would be somebody awesome to go and watch. And I am going to say goodbye. It's been, oh my gosh, it's almost been 2 hours. I can't believe I actually talked for 2 hours straight. Believe it or not, in the last, when I started YouTube, and even in the last like few year, I was terrified of live streams. I loved going in the chat, but it took me a long time to work up the actual bravery to try a live stream because you can't edit. When it's live, and I edit my videos a lot. I love editing, but when I thought of the concept of live stream, I thought, "Oh my god, like this is terrifying," but it's actually so fun. Once you get going in it, it's such an experience to try a live stream. And if you're a garden channel or any content creator, if you've never tried a live stream, highly recommend it. And if you're nervous, one of the things I did first, this is a totally a tangent, but the very first live stream I went on was voice only. It was on another channel that was not even gardening related, but one of my viewers has a channel that is completely off the gardening topic, but they were just wanting to talk to another content creator on their channel. So I decided to join in with voice, and it was really empowering because I felt like I can do this. Like I can actually go on a live stream. And then another channel, good night. Good night, Dijon Pa and Yoda. Another channel that I watch, highly recommend, is Food Forest Permaculture. And he's another gardening channel. I go in his chat on the live streams. But one day I got super brave and he does panels on his gardening channel. And I went in the I pressed his link. He had one of those links on the Steam Yard, and I went in the video chat. I was so, like, nervous but excited, and it was so much fun, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to try a live stream." So I did a little while ago. I did my seed haul, but and I did one with Latin A, who is also not a she has another gardening channel, but she does other stuff. But, once you get into live streams, you literally get hooked. Oh, Mike, before you go, I left a comment on JT Jr.'s, I'll leave one on your videos too. I added something about live streams that you might wanna check out, but I'll leave a comment on one of your videos. We can talk about it in the comment section. But, oh, thank you. You are so kind. That is very nice. I should actually say goodbye. I am really bad with tangents. I will talk about all kinds of topics. I know this is supposed to be about gardening, and then we've talked about nursing, we've talked about all kinds of other little hospital tangents. But I hope everyone has a lovely night and highly recommend check out those two channels and try growing food in your house this winter. Even if you don't participate in the challenge, it is so empowering to grow food. And we will see you later in the week if you decide to watch an indoor gardening update. I don't know. That's going to be my next video. I don't have many other videos planned for the near future. I'll do indoor gardening and I might do an outdoor gardening tour soon, but it's winter time and Vlogmas is over, so I'm not going to do many videos for a while. But thank you for joining in and goodbye, good night. And happy 2024. Wishing everyone a wonderful 2024. Goodbye.